this Planning Economic Development Committee meeting, June 5th, 2018 at 5 o'clock p.m. The first item on our agenda is the approval of minutes from our February 27th, 2018 meeting. Do I hear
Second.
any changes or discussion regarding those minutes? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All right. Next up, we have an update on the Utica revitalization. Mr. Nelson Bassey.
I promise not to take near as long as I did last time. Our initial efforts in revitalization at Utica is a trash pickup, which is scheduled for this coming Saturday at 8 o'clock. And we've had lots of good cooperation with that. Keep Oconee Beautiful has helped us with that a lot. Of course, the county solid waste director has offered to bring dumpsters for us to park at the church. So we've got like 10 trucks volunteered, people volunteered to bring trucks and trailers to drive up and down every street in the community and pick up trash along the roadside. And for several weeks now, we've been passing out trash bags to community residents. They're going to have those bags filled with household garbage, which many of them don't have means of taking their trash off. So that's one of the reasons we're doing this. So we'll be picking up some 30-something residents with those trash bags, and that's still growing, that number. And we'll be picking up trash bags with grabbers provided by Keep Oconee Beautiful, just like you do on the highways. I think we're going to have a lot of volunteers walking along with the trucks picking up roadside trash. We really believe this effort is going to encourage the residents of the Utica community to keep the community a lot cleaner than what they have in the past. And we're just looking forward to the results of all of this. And we just want to say thanks to the county and Keep Oconee Beautiful and many other volunteers, which there are many. I don't even know how many we're going to have. I know there's going to be at least 10 trucks, but so I just wanted to let you know that there's good progress at Utica, and this is just the beginning. Anybody got any questions?
Any questions from the committee?
Thank you for your work.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bassey.
Yeah.
Some of y'all may wonder, and I'll just keep this brief, but may wonder why Utica is important to economic development in Oconee County. That was one very large mill there that shut down. Do y'all know exactly when it shut down? Was it late 90s, early 2000s? About 2000, the year 2000. And that neighborhood has gone downhill since that point. Oconee County, in working with the city of Seneca, has an industrial park that borders that village. And as part of the Governor McMaster's opportunity zones for the state, he selected Utica as one of those census tracts. And I see this as a huge opportunity for Oconee County, not only in attracting investment from an industrial standpoint, but also as we clean up areas, more people will move into those areas. We have a need for housing in this community, as we all know, and this is low-hanging fruit. And once we have this area cleaned up, I think that this will be a great opportunity for redevelopment and for workforce housing, especially considering the fact that it's in an opportunity zone and right next to a 100-acre plus industrial park. So the Seneca Rail Park is out there now, and the Seneca Rail site with the old Propex building has been a great success for the city of Seneca and the county. So that's why it's important for economic development, and perhaps we'll see this model work in other areas in our other cities where the mills have gone downhill, or the neighborhoods that surround them have gone downhill. Mr. Rick Cothran is on his way with Tri-County Tech to talk about a workforce development effort that's going on in Utica. He's on his way right now, and I'll just ask if the committee's all right with that he could just be allowed to speak when he gets here. Okay, thank you. Next up, we have an update on traditional neighborhood development with Mr. Adam Chapman.
Afternoon. So the last meeting here, we were instructed to go look at traditional neighborhood development. I had a meeting with Mr. Kane and administration and Neil Workman from Trail Developers, and he voiced his concerns, his needs, and we spoke a few times. I'm just waiting to have a meeting with him. We've also talked to other developers, builders, and surveyors to kind of get us all together on the same page. So as soon as I can work out a meeting time with the interested parties, we'll make something happen. So that's about as far as we are at the moment.
All right. Any questions for Mr. Chapman on that? All right, Mr. Chapman, you're up again regarding the clarification of certain code sections bearing on land use and development as contained in chapters 26, 32, and 38 of the Oconee County Codes of Ordinances.
Certainly. The last time I was here, I showed you all a packet of potential challenges in our code, and we went ahead and started addressing those. So the Planning Commission has sent you, I believe tonight at Commission, you'll see the zoning matrix and subdivision naming challenges that we sent out to you, some new language. You're also going to see stuff about the sign code, the Lake Residential District, and BZA notification as well. And that's all coming down the pike steadily from chapters 32 and 38.
I got a question.
Yes, sir.
Some of this was written prior to us having these industrial sites, especially the signs. We're going to end up with 2 industrial sites on two two-lane highways, and the way you got it written, you don't want any billboards, any advertisement. What are we going to do about putting signage for the companies that are inside those industrial sites?
Certainly. So the sign code itself, the way we looked at it was there was 3 kind of major changes to it. The first one is that the Community Development Department didn't have any input into the sign codes. We're the ones who issue the sign permits, and it basically had the sheriff's office doing it. So we changed that language so the sign code is in the Community Development Department. The only other 2 restrictions that we put in there that didn't already exist were for the setbacks for the signs and the height of the signs. And those just follow the underlying zoning district. The actual size of the signs on 2-lane roads and things like that, we didn't touch any of the size of the signs. That all is how it exists right now.
What have you got on the height?
65 feet.
60. And that is the same as the building heights? I mean,
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Yeah, and it wasn't made any more restrictive. It was just clarifying things. All right.
Thank you, Mr. Chapman. All right, Mr. Cothran, I see you've arrived, so would you mind coming up and speaking about the your role with Tri-County Tech and also the pilot program that y'all are working on over in Utica? We just spoke about that right before you got here, so perfect timing.
Well, first of all, let me apologize for being late.
It's not a problem.
I got hung up at the office, and then the traffic was very normal and being crowded. So my name's Rick Cothran. I'm Dean of Corporate and Community Education. My job is to make sure people get skills to re-enter the workforce and to support workforce development in Anderson, Oconee, and Pickens County. Realizing that we have a issue of a shortage of workers due to the low unemployment, we have to look at ways to pull people out of the marketplace. So my idea was to look at the full city of Seneca, and when you look at statistical data of where older textile mills was at, the high unemployment rate is almost 10 times what it is everywhere else. It's 24, 25% in that neighborhood. So there's opportunities to get people back engaged and into the workforce. So we narrowed it down to the Utica Village, and we narrowed it down to that. We started the process. Always people that spend long-term unemployed, it's difficult to get them back because they're not accustomed to the changes that are taking place. And what I mean by that, 15 years ago, the skills needed to enter the workforce was not as rigid as they are today. And when you look at that, you have to do some skill upgrades. Those skill upgrades include both technical and non-technical, and non-technical meaning soft type skills where you're teaching people how to interact within that workforce. And of course, we're pursuing a grant that's related to that. It's called Innovation. Grant through South Carolina Department of Employment and Workforce. But the issue is that the people are there, they want to work, they want to change, they want to do things. Sorry. I got it stopped. They want to change, so it takes a while to get there. And what we've seen take place so far is we have a lady that is enrolled in adult ed, and she is progressing very well, and she's actually now helping tutor other students. So I think that's a great attribute that's taken place. Been able to successfully place 2 people working, and in one of the cases, not saying who it is, the family has now been restored. The husband and wife are back together, which, that's a great thing for our society. And he's been working 5 weeks. He has a disability with his foot, but that has not stopped him from being employed. So there's some great things happening, taking a little longer than I anticipated. But when you look at what's taking place and getting people to where they need to, we got to get them the skills. Now we're talking with a couple on entering the classroom to get that technical skills to go with the other soft skills as we begin to continue to build. And you say, well, what do you do all this for? I did my doctoral research on just this one thing, and there was a lady that I dealt with. She was homeless, as the federal government regs say that you're homeless, that you don't have your own environment. So she lived with 3 different people in 18 months. She had dyslexia, and she had to take a test. She cried the whole way through the test. Fast forward. She graduated. She went to work as a certified nurse assistant, making about $35,000 a year with working a lot of overtime. Committed. She didn't have a house. Now she has a house. Didn't have a car. Now she's got a car. Now she's got her own income, and she said, I'll never let myself be without my own income. And then the other thing that took place with her is this: she's now enrolled back in Tri-County working toward an associate degree in nursing. So it's a matter of getting people to go through the, sorry, it seems to be ringing on me.
It's not just you, it's done it with everybody.
It's done. Oh, it's not me. It's not my magnetic voice.
It's not an Anderson resident.
But that's some of the things that's happening over there, which we think it's very good, and we're continuing on. And I've been over there probably about 20 weeks. We've been working on this. So the 20 weeks I've been there, about 15 of the 20 weeks in Wednesday afternoon meeting and talking with people. I can tell you this: the demeanor of the people when you meet with them was very sad and very down. And now when you go in, they smiles on people's face, and I think that's a victory in itself. And the issue is trying to give people hope. We hope to be successful there. We have plans to expand it out in the whole city of Seneca, and then once we do that, we'll be doing some other cities to try to help people get back into the employment. And what's the difference between them and I? I had opportunities, and they may have had them and not used them, or they may have not have had opportunities. It's too late to judge who's what, where, when, and how. How do we get them restored to where they can actually go back to work? And that's what it's all about, and have a successful life. So, any questions, or is that it?
You got any questions?
Where are you teaching this at?
Right now, I'm working over there.
mean, you using the church to,
We're using the church, and we're gonna be having a benefits fair going on. I think we scheduled that for the last of the month, June. So we're gonna be doing that. We have them coming also to Tri-County Tech. We also have them coming to the adult ed, and then we'll be using them out in the, offering them to be able to come to the campus in Oconee County once it's completed. We do what we have to do to help people get to where they need to go. And that's, to me, that's what we're supposed to be doing anyway, helping our fellow man. Okay?
that's it.
Any more?
Any other questions, comments? Mr. Cawthon, thank you for coming, and appreciate all you're doing. And when we sit here and talk about planning economic development, we have to remember it is about improving the lives of the people in this county, and that's what economic development's all about, is bringing investment here that creates jobs and helps lower the burdens on everybody else. And you know, when folks get back to work, when they get other, you know, opportunities to progress and move up in life, that's what economic development's all about. So thank you again. Appreciate your progress and all your work and bringing that program to Oconee County. All right, Ms. Hartman, is that, can we turn the mic? I think the mic's amped up. I mean, I'm not a, you want to, should we pause the recording for a second while we're, okay.
The famous turn it off and turn it back on again. Ma'am?
Thank you, Mr. Chapman. Thank you, Mr. Kane, for that introduction right into economic development, because that's what I'm going to talk about. So I'm here this evening on behalf of the Oconee Economic Alliance to give an update on economic development to the council. So Katie, if we can move forward. So again, just a reminder of the umbrella of the Alliance. We're not just the Oconee Alliance. We also work with the NOW program and the school students. We work with Tri-County Entrepreneurial Development Corporation, and then the Destination Oconee, Think Oconee program. So it's kind of our umbrella, and our mission, as it's stated on the next slide, is focused on having Oconee County be the location of choice for investment decisions. Very similar to what Mr. Kane just said. We look to diversify our economy, develop those competitive assets, nurture strategic partnerships, and that's by working with all the different partners within the community and even outside the community when needed, and then just telling our story to new folks or existing audiences. And case in point, this morning I had an opportunity to speak to a group I hadn't spoken to, the Seneca Coffee Club, a group of 100+ men, and they hadn't heard the Destination Oconee story before. So it was a nice opportunity to share our successes, and I'll share a few of those with you as we go on. So when you look at our economic development efforts, again, we are looking to create jobs for people and people for jobs. So since 2012, we have ushered in just shy of 1,600 new jobs, over $500 million in capital investment. I think that's very significant and notable for the work that's been done, and the fact that it's been spread over 38 projects. We aren't just a one-hit wonder. I think you've heard Mr. Blackwell say before. We work with various projects, and it's always an attempt to diversify our economy. The next slide really shows what has happened this year in the first a little over 5 months of the year. The different companies that we have worked with to usher in $69.05 million in new investment into the community, with an additional 123 new jobs. So we're having some great success. And again, it's diversified. You see some small companies there with the county now getting into the manufacturing of craft beer, which has been surrounding us, but now we have some folks in Oconee County that are going to run down that road. RBC Aerostructures just had an event this morning that was very positive with Lockheed Martin. So a lot of great things happening in the community with a variety of different companies. When we look at the number of Oconee citizens employed, I think something very positive, again, you heard in the presentations before, it's an opportunity for us to look at the folks in Oconee County and help them to become employed. When you look at over the last 6 years, we've increased that number to 4,500 number of citizens working that weren't working 6 years ago. And we feel really great and happy about that from the standpoint, again, that there's opportunities at all levels in Oconee County, and that's really what we're working to continue to emphasize and promote within the county. You've heard a couple of times already the unemployment rate. So as of April 28, 2.7%. That's the lowest it has been in 20 years. So back in April of 98, it was 2.5. And just a number to think about, back in 2009, the unemployment was 14.6. So just the tremendous change we've seen in that number. Now, the 2.7 number for the folks looking for employees is not a great number. They're looking, so we need to continue to work with housing developments and ways for people to locate to this area to continue to help our employers provide workers to them. But that's a significant number when you look at it from the standpoint of putting people to work. As far as labor force, so I talked about how unemployment is down, our labor participation is up. And if you look at us compared to our neighbors, we have increased 430 compared to, and that's again labor participation, Pickens and Anderson's have decreased. That could be that we have some of those folks coming over here working, but the participation rate on our side of the water has increased. So that's a positive. So a lot of great positive things happening. This map on the next slide shows some of those numbers from a county population growth, not labor force, this is population. So on this map, for those of you in the audience looking, the blue is positive. The darker the blue, the more positive. Orange is on the negative side, and the darker the orange, the more negative. So that just kind of shows, as we point out at the top, in the upstate, Greenville, Pickens, Oconee, and Anderson on this slide. But if you go to the next slide, most of you won't be able to read this, but in the green, you'll see number on population growth in the 1 year time frame of 2016 to 2017. Oconee County ranked 15th out of the 46 counties in South Carolina. And over the last 7 years, we ranked 16th. So some positive numbers there as well from a population growth. And so you see all these numbers are on the positive side with labor participation up, population growth is up. It gives us a lot of things to continue to celebrate, but obviously there's always work to be done. As I say, we have lots of companies that tell us there are jobs out there. If people want to work, we have positions. And now we're at a point we need to start matching those positions and people together, and then continue to tell our stories so folks can recognize this is a great place to live, work, and play. So. Next, I'm going to go into a quick update on Destination Oconee. I think the last time you guys heard from me was probably in February with a few things. So there's a lot of words on this, but really, I think with Destination Oconee, the focus from an economic development standpoint has really been working on revitalizing, strengthening our cities, making that nucleus very strong and growing from that, looking at additional business recruitment initiatives, looking at ways to improve those downtowns so that community spirit, that sense of place, that quality of life factor is strengthened. And we're making some great headway with the folks in Walhalla, Seneca, and Westminster. There's going to be continuous work to be done. But after 2 years of working in this position, I see so much positive growth that has happened. Just the fact that people are talking to each other and there are initiatives happening and we're collaborating, because I think collaboration to get things done, as you heard Mr. Vassy speak earlier on the cleanup, you need cooperation, collaboration, and I think this county does a great job of that. So I'm happy to be a part of that from the different initiatives in the downtowns. A quick update on our cleanup, again with the help of a bunch of entities coming together with the first annual Great Oconee Cleanup we repeated in the spring, again, this time we did the stretch of Highway 11 from Blue Ridge Co-op up to Walhalla High School. We covered a span of 14 miles on Highway 11, both sides of the road. We also caught our industrial park while we were going through there. 150 volunteers showed up. We collected over 2,000 pounds of litter. Again, the positive is the litter's not out on the highway. The negative is that there was that much there in the first place. But we'll continue to work on that. And I think the awareness has increased. I think there are more people aware of the fact that they should not be throwing it out of their car or letting it be loose out of their vehicles. And we're working with COBA and the school district to try to teach it at a very young age as well. This slide just shows some of the great folks that showed up to help us. We even had a princess come with her tiara, and she really picked up litter with her tiara on. So we're very happy that, trash pickup isn't just for those that are, the workers, it's for the beauty queens as well. So that was great. So we appreciate the folks that showed up. But over the course of the first annual Great Oconee Cleanup, which happened last spring, down to the one we just completed, a total of over 5,000 pounds of litter. That does not include what the Sheriff's Department does on a regular basis, what our Adopt a Highway, Adopt a Spot folks are doing, what individual initiatives that are taking place, like the one coming up this weekend. So happy to be a part of a lot of those things, because as Think Oconee is talking about doing things positively in the community, picking up garbage is one of those things that makes a very positive first impression, and we're happy to help with that. So. Lastly, I will talk about the wayfinding signage. Thank you for the approval of this project. We are moving forward. We have 144 wayfinding signs being identified for placement and fabricated right now with the company out of Charlotte, Signs, Etc. Just a reminder that bid did go out here locally, and we did get 9 companies that submitted a bid. We went with the lowest, most qualified, of course, bid. So Signs, Etc. out of Charlotte received the bid for fabrication and installation, and we hope to see installation of those signs within the next 60 days. But I always tend to be very optimistic, so don't hold me to that date. But we're excited about that. I think, again, it continues to provide that great first impression when people come into our community. But not only visitors, there are residents here that aren't sure of where all of our natural resource, wonderful places to go, museums, cultural assets. So the wayfinding signage is going to help residents as well as visitors. So with that, lots going on. We feel good about where we are, but there's always work to be done. So any questions?
Can you speak today about your little project that you were on and what that's going to do? All your GPS stuff that you were doing today?
So today we were out actually flagging and locating the wayfinding signs. So as we go through the county, we've identified exactly where they are. So when our sign installer comes out, they will be able to identify and locate utilities to make sure when those are installed, they're not causing any problems in that regard. But it also helps from a county roads department. If there's a problem with the sign, we now have the GPS location of where that sign is, and we can identify the location very quickly. So if a sign's missing, we'll have it logged in a master list. So that's where I was today.
Appreciate that.
Thank you.
I think it is important to know that we do have a person that knows where these places are, and the signs just don't magically appear somewhere.
Right. And we went out and measured line of sight to make sure we're not putting them in a spot that's dangerous for anyone driving, walking, whatever. So, yes.
What database did you use on this GPS? 1983 or the 1996? That's the surveying thing. Just
Okay, I was going to say I don't really know. I had Donnie from the road department with
It might
me.
still about that much difference.
Yeah, we were measuring things quite accurately with the help of the roads department. So
You should have helped out
we
today,
could,
Glenn.
Mr. Hart, you could come with us. We aren't finished, so you could come
There
with
you
us
go.
still. Yes.
Thank you, Ms. Hartman.
Yes.
Appreciate all your
Sure.
work.
Thank you.
All right. Do we have any unfinished business for the committee? Do we have any new business related to planning and economic development? Would y'all like to adjourn?
I make a motion, we adjourn.
So move. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.